This is NBC 10 Boston, Boston's 10.
Hi, everyone. Let's get right to our Hurricane Florence coverage. Good evening. I'm Shannon Malaire.
And I'm Phil Lipoff. We're bringing you team coverage tonight. Chris Emma will join us in just a moment, but first we want to get you right over to meteorologist Pete Bouchard, who joins us from the Weather Center with the track on the storm. Pete?
Latest advisory is still a Category 4 hurricane, unchanged here, even though some dry air has pushed into the storm. Hurricane warnings are up now through North Carolina and part of South Carolina as well. So Category 4 with winds to 140. Here's the motion on it. Northwest at about 17 miles an hour. Expected to stay at that pace up until the point where it's about to make landfall, maybe with winds to near 145 to 150, and then it backs off just slightly. It also slows down as it approaches the coast. We could be looking at an afternoon landfall now, as opposed to what was Thursday night this morning, what was Friday morning this afternoon, now a little bit later, and that's owing to the fact that the steering currents that are pushing Florence along weaken. That's a big problem, too. The spaghetti plots show you where this thing is going. Those are the plots of all the models. It's a distinct shot. And then, as it gets right to the coastline, they start to spread out a little bit. That's the drifting of the storm owing to the weak steering currents, which could be a huge problem, too. Inundating storm surge in North and South Carolina. Exact time of landfall still in question. 6 tide cycles will be affected by Florence, and biblical flooding, perhaps, with up to 20 to 40 inches in spots. Our forecast is changeable, but certainly not as active. We'll talk about that in ahead.
All right, Pete, thanks. We're going to continue our live team coverage now with NBC 10's Chris Emma.
All right, so Chris, more than 5 million people now under a hurricane warning or watch. What are they doing as the storm approaches shore?
Well, Shannon and Phil, at this hour, Florence, as Pete just mentioned, a Category 4 and state of emergencies have been declared in North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. ahead of this potentially deadly storm. Tonight, the rush is on to get out. From the Carolinas to Virginia, more than 1 million people trying to outrun Hurricane Florence.
How terrifying is this storm?
Yeah, it's something that I've been dreading since I moved here.
In South Carolina, all lanes now leading west, away from the massive storm. This incredible view from NOAA's Hurricane Hunter, the plane reaches the eye wall of Florence, the blue sky clearly visible.
We are in a very deadly and important game of chess with Hurricane Florence.
In Myrtle Beach,
Hurricane Florence, bring it on.
There's a rush on sand, but many bolting to higher ground.
It's important for us to evacuate. We don't need to take chances. We don't need to put personnel on the line to come and try and save us. We need to go.
Not everyone's fleeing Florence. Some ignoring the mandatory evacuation orders, instead hunkering down in their retirement community.
Why are you staying?
Well, I've been through a lot of storms, and we feel like that this is our home.
A home now in the path of the most powerful hurricane to threaten the southeast coast in more than 20 years. Now, as you can see from this video posted on Snapchat just behind me, there are a lot of people that are packing up their things and heading out of Florence's path. An estimated 1.5 million people have already evacuated, and the National Hurricane Center says that the storm surge could be life-threatening in the coming days. Live in studio, Chris Emma, NBC 10 Boston.
All right, Chris, thank you. And starting tomorrow afternoon, meteorologist Chris Gloninger will be bringing us live reports from the Carolinas. Stick with NBC 10 Boston for continuous coverage from our team of meteorologists who are tracking Hurricane Florence around the clock.
All right, Shannon, as we move on tonight, an NBC 10 Boston exclusive. A Brookline priest in custody tonight facing allegations of sexual abuse. And new tonight, we are hearing from the alleged victim's father. NBC 10's Michael Rosenfield joins us live from Brookline tonight with more on an interview, Michael, you will see only right here on 10.
Phil, that priest worked right here at this church in Brookline. He was also a chaplain over at Beth Israel Hospital. Tonight, though, he's in jail accused of sexually assaulting a child years ago. Father Christian Ohazalume before a judge Tuesday afternoon. Prosecutors say he sexually assaulted a little girl inside this home in Randolph some 11 years ago.
I'm very sad.
This is the father of the alleged victim. He says Father Christian is his nephew, and he helped bring him here from Nigeria to study at Boston College. Do you believe the allegations?
Yeah, pretty much.
The victim was about 8 years old at the time. She recently told police Father Christian touched her inappropriately and kissed her as well. It allegedly happened in the basement where Father Christian lived with the family when he moved here from Nigeria.
I don't think my daughter would make up
nothing like this. Knowing how Father Christian is a family member.
Father Christian most recently was a chaplain at Beth Israel Medical Center. The hospital tells us he's now been fired. The Archdiocese of Boston says he lived at St. Mary of the Assumption in Brookline, where he helped with Mass and confession, and his permission to minister has now been terminated.
I invested in Father Christian's coming to this country. I helped him in many ways, like a son.
Father Christian's attorney denying the allegations against him. He also says he is cooperating with the investigation. The priest will have to turn over his passport if he wants to be bailed out of jail. Live in Brookline tonight, Michael Rosenfield, NBC 10 Boston.
Michael, thank you. On Thursday, Cardinal Sean O'Malley will be meeting with Pope Francis along with other U.S. cardinals and bishops. They will be discussing the investigation of former Cardinal Theodore McCarrick. McCarrick stepped down after accusations of sexual abuse. Cardinal O'Malley is a top advisor to Pope Francis on sex abuse investigations.
Phil, take a moment and look at this video. Police in Natick are searching for the people that you see here in this video who are believed to be shooting out windows with a BB gun. NBC 10's Eli Rosenberg joins us live from Natick now tonight with more on this. Eli.
Well, you can imagine the fear out here, including from one woman, her house shot up 10 times over 2 different nights. Now, police here have perhaps their best lead yet as they try and catch the 3 they say are responsible.
Come on over and take a look at the glass.
From the broken windows,
you can see there's 3,
to the shocking encounters.
He must have had the pistol in his hand and he just turned it towards my car and he shot it 3 times.
Those who live in this Natick neighborhood on edge after a week of BB gun shootings.
Watch the British Bacon Show, pop, pop, pop. And then by the 3rd one, I recognized bullets and I shouted to get down.
Steve Stroud's home was hit Saturday night. This woman's house down the street hit too.
We feel very vulnerable and obviously are upset that it happened.
Police now investigating, releasing this surveillance video showing 3 people on bikes.
My instinct was just to reverse the car and go after them.
Kathy Liam Bruno came face to face with them Sunday after one shot at her car.
I'm thinking I want to kill him.
Neighbors say police chased them. During that chase, 2 ditched their bikes pictured here, as those impacted want this mayhem to stop.
You could throw eggs at a home, you know, if you wanted to go out, cause a little mayhem, maybe toilet paper somebody's bushes, but the fact that people are riding around shooting at you, something wrong with the world.
So a lot of fed up residents out here. Police tell us they are dusting those bikes for fingerprints. The hope out here tonight is that someone recognizes these 3 and calls police. Live in Natick, Eli Rosenberg, NBC 10 Boston.
All right, Eli, thank you. New tonight, the Red Sox clinching a playoff spot.
Sports anchor Raul Martinez joins us live in studio. And Raul, there's still 3 weeks left in the season.
It's unbelievable. It was their 99th win of the season, Shannon and Phil. The Red Sox are the first this year to clinch a playoff spot, and it ties for the 6th fastest to clinch a berth since 1996. We are only through 145 games. They were down in the 7th at home to the Blue Jays, but these are the comeback kids. Brock Holt, the shot to right, that's a 3-run home run. They would add a couple more. When it's 7-2, they still have some things to take care of, like clinch the division and home field, but check this one off the list. Playoff-bound Boston. And the news just keeps on getting better. The Sox got their ace back. Chris Sale was the opener tonight, and we'll show you what he did on the mound. You're going to hear from the lefty, who is finally off the disabled list. That's coming up a little later in sports. Live in studio, Raul Martinez, NBC 10 Boston.
Raul, thank you. This is new at 11. A high school football player on the Cape is in the hospital at this hour after getting seriously hurt during practice. It happened earlier today at the Upper Cape Vocational School, which is in Bourne. He was flown, as you see, to Rhode Island Hospital after the accident. His injuries are considered severe, but we do know he can move his arms and legs. New details tonight in the hazardous materials situation at the Necco factory in Revere. The Coast Guard tells us there was a minor ammonia leak inside the facility today. The gas meters outside the building didn't even pick up any ammonia readings, though. Health officials tell us there is no threat to the public. Right now, Groveland police are releasing this surveillance video trying to track down a suspected mail thief. This video was taken over the weekend. It shows a man on Main Street peering into someone's mailbox. A neighbor called police, who later found a bag of what they believe is stolen mail. If you recognize the person, please give police a call.
And now to Decision 2018. The results are coming in from New Hampshire's primary. The big race tonight is for the 1st Congressional District. NBC 10's Catherine Underwood has more from Manchester.
His family's century-old restaurant turned party venue. As Chris Pappas wins the Democratic nomination to represent the 1st Congressional District.
You know, I always trust Granite State voters to get it right.
The executive counselor and former state representative from Manchester dominated a crowded field of 11 candidates, and tonight promising his constituents to fight for them if he makes it to Washington.
I hope you'll be standing with us these next 8 weeks, because I look forward to standing with you and the people of New Hampshire for the next 2 years to make progress for the people of this great state.
In November, Pappas will face self-proclaimed conservative outsider Eddie Edwards. The former Southampton police chief was confident even before polls closed, telling us it's about time Granite Staters see what a law enforcement official can do for them in D.C.
We understand what it means to serve with people you may disagree with. We understand what it means to be on a team and really work towards a common solution to protect this great nation.
And in a separate race, the gubernatorial primary, former Democratic State Senator Molly Kelly has won her party's nomination, and she will face Governor Chris Sununu in November. Reporting from Manchester, New Hampshire, Catherine Underwood, NBC 10 Boston.
Catherine, thank you. Happening now, shocking allegations at a veterans cemetery. What a man is accused of doing as police search for the suspect. Also new tonight, the recent closure of a Sam's Club in Worcester led to one of our viewers reaching out to our NBC 10 Boston response team. What you need to know if you also hold a membership from that store. And what people in Chelmsford are saying is behind their rat infestation.
And Shannon, it was a somber day all across the nation as Americans paused to remember those killed in the September 11th attacks 17 years later. In New York, Washington, D.C., and here in Boston, we honored the heroes and the victims from one of the greatest tragedies in our nation's history.
We commit ourselves to remembering and honoring the lives that might have been.
Edward L. Allegretto,
Jamie Lynn Fallon,
Ruben D. Correa,
Danny A. Herrera Gutierrez,
Georgine Rose Corrigan, Thomas M. Butler,
Patrick Dennis Byrne,
Timothy G. Byrne.
We'll always love you and I'll never forget you.